America is a land of breathtaking beauty. From sun-soaked beaches to snow-capped peaks, it's a country built for road trips and bucket lists. But here's the twist. Some of the nation's most visited states are also the hardest to actually live in. Behind the picture-perfect postcards lie sky-high rents, crumbling infrastructure, insurance nightmares, and crowds that never go home. These are the places tourists adore, and locals endure. So, before you fall in love with that vacation destination, you might want to peek behind the curtain. Here are the top 10 states that are great to visit but terrible to live in. Number 10. Colorado. Colorado looks like a screensaver brought to life. Snow-dusted peaks, fresh alpine air, and craft beer on every corner. For travelers, it's paradise. Hiking in summer, skiing in winter, and endless photo ops in between. But for those who actually live there, the dream has gotten a little too pricey. Over the past decade, Colorado's population exploded as people from across the country moved in chasing that mountain lifestyle. The result? Housing prices shot up faster than a ski lift. In cities like Denver, the median home price hovers around $600,000 and rent isn't far behind. Locals joke that you now need to sell a kidney to afford a one-bedroom near downtown, though they're only half joking. Then there's traffic. The same scenic highways that tourists adore turn into parking lots every weekend. Interstate 70, for example, can transform a 2-hour drive to the slopes into a 5-hour endurance test. And while Colorado markets itself as eco-friendly, the constant construction and influx of people have strained water resources and air quality. Not exactly what mountain purity promised. The cost of living continues to climb like someone scaling Pikes Peak without oxygen. Groceries, utilities, and healthcare all cost well above the national average. Even the outdoorsy lifestyle comes with a price tag. Ski passes can hit over $800 a season, and lift lines are longer than airport security during Christmas. Still, it's hard to hate Colorado. The sunsets over the Rockies, the crisp air, the feeling of being part of something wild and free. That's what hooks people. But when winter rolls in, rent's due, and you realize you can't even park downtown without paying more than your phone bill, it becomes clear. Colorado is stunning to visit, but exhausting to afford. The state may offer mountain highs, but for many residents, the financial altitude sickness is very real. Number 9. Louisiana. Louisiana is a cultural masterpiece. Jazz, gumbo, Mardi Gras, and people who know how to make every day a celebration. Tourists can't get enough of it, but for locals, living in Louisiana often feels like trying to throw a parade during a hurricane, literally and financially. Start with housing. The median home price in Louisiana sits around $240,000, which sounds decent, until you realize property insurance can cost more than your car payment. After multiple hurricanes and floods, insurers have been fleeing the state like tourists after Bourbon Street closes. Many homeowners now pay over $4,000 per year just for insurance. Some can't even find a company willing to cover them. Renters aren't safe either. Rent prices have jumped nearly 30% since 2020, squeezing lower-income families hardest. And then there's the infrastructure, or what's left of it. Louisiana's roads and drainage systems are in such poor shape that a single thunderstorm can turn entire neighborhoods into lakes. Add in summer humidity near 90% and hurricane seasons that now feel endless, and weather anxiety becomes a normal lifestyle. The economy struggles too. The median household income hovers around $55,000, well below the national average, while utilities, food, and car insurance cost more than most southern states. Tourism and oil money keep the economy afloat, but the everyday worker often feels stuck between bad options. Crime and education bring even more headaches. Louisiana consistently ranks among the bottom 5 states in school quality and the top 5 in violent crime. It's hard to focus on Mardi Gras when you're worried about safety, bills, and the next flood warning. Still, the people are what make Louisiana beautiful. They're tough, resilient, and can find joy even in chaos. But when daily life means battling high insurance, unreliable infrastructure, and humidity that could drown you, it's clear. Louisiana is amazing to visit, but brutal to live in. The culture will fill your heart, but your wallet? That's another story. Number 8. Oregon. Oregon looks like a postcard that someone forgot to stop charging rent for. Snow-capped mountains, forests dripping with mist. And coffee so good, you'll question every Starbucks you've ever loved. But behind that Pacific Northwest charm is a state that's slowly pricing out the very people who fell in love with it. The median home price in Oregon is around $520,000, and in Portland it's even higher, pushing $560,000 to $580,000. Rent? Roughly $2,000 a month for a one-bedroom in the city. For a state that prides itself on laid-back living, the cost of entry is anything but chill. A lot of locals joke that Portland weird now refers to paying half your income just to live near a food truck. Oregon's income tax rate hits up to 9.9%, one of the highest in the country, while wages don't quite match the rising costs. And since there's no sales tax, the state still finds a way to make your paycheck vanish through property and gas taxes. Then there's the weather. Yes, the rain is part of the vibe, until you've gone 100 straight days without seeing the sun. Seasonal depression isn't a stereotype here, it's a side effect of living in permanent drizzle. Add to that a rising homelessness crisis and wildfires every summer, and Oregon starts to feel less like a cozy retreat and more like nature's mood swing. The outdoors are breathtaking, but even that comes at a cost. Permits, packed trails, and reservation systems that make camping feel like buying concert tickets. For many residents, the simple life Oregon advertises is now just another luxury. Visiting Oregon is like falling in love on vacation. Magical, fleeting, and best left that way. Living there full-time? It's like marrying that vacation. Beautiful but expensive, moody, and occasionally on fire. Number 7. Nevada. Nevada sells dreams, flashing lights, endless entertainment, and sunshine for 300 days a year. Tourists love it, but if you actually live there? The dream fades fast, kind of like your bank account after a night on the Strip. In Las Vegas, the median home price is around $430,000, and while that's lower than neighboring California, it's climbed nearly 70% since 2015. Rent averages $1,700 to $1,900 a month for a modest apartment. And utilities are sky-high to summer temperatures that roast everything in sight. Locals joke that you don't tan here, you toast. And speaking of heat, it's relentless. From June through September, the desert turns into an oven, regularly hitting 110 degrees Fahrenheit or more. That dry heat defense stops working once your steering wheel melts. Energy bills easily hit $300 to $400 a month just to keep air conditioning running. Nevada's economy thrives on tourism and gaming, but jobs outside those industries often pay low wages. The median household income sits around $66,000, which doesn't stretch far when housing and inflation rise faster than casino jackpots. And water? Lake Mead's record low levels have locals seriously questioning how long the desert can sustain millions of residents. Education and healthcare don't bring relief either. Nevada ranks near the bottom 10 in both categories, with overcrowded schools and limited access to affordable medical care. Sure, Nevada has no state income tax, which sounds great, until you realize everything else costs more. Groceries, gas, housing, it all adds up. To visit Nevada is to be dazzled. To live there is to sweat, spend, and wonder why your water pressure dropped again. It's a land built for spectacle, not sustainability. Thrilling for a weekend, exhausting for a lifetime. Number 6. Mississippi. At first glance, Mississippi looks like the American dream on discount. Quaint towns, friendly smiles, and a median home price of about $200,000. Yeehaw! Practically pocket change compared to coastal states. But before you start packing, it's worth knowing the low prices come with a long list of trade-offs. Yes, housing is cheap, but so are wages. The median household income sits around $52,000, nearly $20,000 less than the national average. And that affordable home? It might come with crumbling infrastructure, unreliable utilities, and property values that barely move. For residents, cheap often means underfunded schools, weak healthcare systems, and limited job opportunities. Mississippi consistently ranks near the bottom 5 states for education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Hospitals in rural areas have been closing, forcing many to drive hours just to see a specialist. Roads? Let's just say the state bird might as well be an orange traffic cone. Then there's the weather. Tornadoes, floods, and oppressive humidity create a climate that can turn charming southern living into a sweaty endurance test. The summer air feels less like oxygen and more like soup. Add in frequent power outages, and you start to wonder if that cheap mortgage was a trap. Crime and poverty remain persistent challenges. Nearly 1 in 5 Mississippians lives below the poverty line, and that reality weighs heavily on communities. Despite its beautiful landscapes and soulful music, the state struggles to keep its youth. Many leave in search of better pay and stability elsewhere. Mississippi is a great place to visit for hospitality, food, and culture that feels genuine and unfiltered. But for those trying to build a future here, the math rarely works. Life may be slower, but it's not easier, just cheaper on paper. Number 5. Alaska. Visiting Alaska is like stepping into another planet. Glaciers, northern lights, endless wilderness, it's breathtaking. But living there? It's breathtaking for entirely different reasons, like when you see your grocery bill. The median home price in Alaska sits around $380,000, which isn't terrible until you realize how much it costs to maintain that home. Heating alone can run $400 to $600 a month in winter. Groceries are often 30 to 40% higher than the national average. A gallon of milk? Around $6 in many areas. And if you live in a remote community, double that. The isolation is real. Flights to the lower 48 are expensive, shipping delays are constant, and basic conveniences like fast internet or affordable healthcare can feel like luxuries. The weather doesn't help either. Winters last forever, with temperatures dipping below -20 degrees Fahrenheit and daylight hours dropping to just a few gloomy hours a day. While tourists chase the adventure, residents often chase stability. The economy relies heavily on oil, tourism, and fishing, industries that fluctuate wildly. Job opportunities are limited, and when the economy dips, so does the quality of life. On top of that, many parts of Alaska face high crime rates, particularly in small towns where alcohol abuse and lack of resources compound social problems. Sure, the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend, the annual payout to residents, sounds like a perk, averaging around $1,000 per person. But it barely dents the cost of living. Alaska is a land of extraordinary beauty, but it demands extraordinary resilience. It's one of those places that's magical to visit and humbling to survive. Number 4. Florida. Florida looks like a dream. Beaches, sunshine, palm trees, and year-round warmth. It's the kind of place you vacation in and think, I could totally live here. But the locals know better. Paradise has a payment plan. The median home price sits around $410,000, up nearly 50% from 5 years ago. Rent averages $2,200 for a one-bedroom in cities like Miami or Tampa. Insurance, though, is the real monster. Florida's homeowners pay the highest property insurance rates in the country, often $6,000 to $8,000 per year, for hurricanes and flooding. And yes, the weather is great. Until it isn't. Hurricane season now feels like a year-round event. Storm surges, floods, and unbearable humidity make life stressful and sweaty. The summer heat index regularly hits 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and your AC never takes a day off. Traffic is another nightmare. Florida's highways are jammed year-round with snowbirds, tourists, and transplants. What used to be a 15-minute drive now takes an hour, if you're lucky. Then there's the cost of everything else. Groceries and utilities have spiked, and wages haven't kept pace. The median household income hovers around $68,000, which sounds okay until you start adding up housing, gas, and healthcare. Florida also ranks among the worst states for fraud, road rage, and natural disaster claims. It's paradise, sure, if you can afford to rebuild it every few years. Visiting Florida is like stepping into an Instagram reel. Beaches, cocktails, and sunset selfies. But living there feels more like managing a full-time weather crisis with extra humidity and insurance paperwork. Number 3. New York. New York, the concrete dream. The place where ambition meets overpriced rent. Everyone wants to experience it once, but few can afford to stay. For visitors, it's a thrilling rush. Times Square, Broadway, bagels, and that iconic skyline. For residents, it's a daily battle between survival and subway delays. Let's start with the price tag. The median home price in New York State is around $450,000. But in New York City, it rockets past $750,000. Want to rent instead? Brace yourself. The average rent for a one-bedroom in Manhattan now floats near $4,000 a month. Even the outer boroughs like Brooklyn and Queens have climbed into the $2,800 to $3,200 range. And what do you get for that money? Maybe 600 square feet, one window, and a radiator that sounds like it's plotting against you. Groceries are 30% above the national average, and eating out can drain your wallet faster than a Wall Street crash. Taxes don't help either. New York has some of the highest state and city taxes in the nation, up to 10.9% state income tax, plus a city surcharge if you live in NYC. And let's not even talk about parking. Owning a car in Manhattan is basically a luxury hobby that costs $500 plus per month in garage fees. Sure, the opportunities are endless: art, fashion, finance, culture, but so is the competition. Many people work 2 or 3 jobs just to keep up. The average person isn't living the New York dream, they're surviving it. Tourists see glamour and lights, locals see rent increases and endless construction. The magic fades when you realize that in New York you don't own your time, your bills do. It's the city that never sleeps, because everyone's too stressed to. Number 2, California. California, the land of dreams, sunshine, and ambition. It's home to Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and the kind of coastline that makes postcards jealous. But for residents, California's golden reputation feels more like fool's gold these days. Let's start with the elephant in the room: housing. The median home price in California sits at a jaw-dropping $780,000, with places like San Francisco averaging well over $1.2 million. Rent isn't much better. The average one-bedroom apartment runs around $2,800 to $3,500, depending on the city. For many Californians, home ownership has become a myth, not a milestone. Then there's the cost of living, about 45% higher than the national average. Gas often tops $5 a gallon, groceries and electricity are among the most expensive in the country, and taxes? Brutal. The state income tax can reach 13.3%, the highest in the US. Congratulations, you now pay extra for the sunshine. And speaking of sunshine, it comes with wildfires, droughts, and earthquakes. Californians live in a constant state of natural disaster roulette. Insurance rates have skyrocketed, with some companies refusing to cover wildfire-prone areas altogether. Traffic is another daily torment. Whether it's Los Angeles gridlock or Bay Area congestion, you can expect to spend up to 100 hours per year stuck behind the wheel. Time you'll never get back. Yet despite all that, millions still move here, chasing careers, creativity, and year-round good weather. The state truly is beautiful. From Yosemite to Malibu, it's a natural masterpiece. But the cost of living has pushed even lifelong residents to flee eastward in search of affordability and sanity. Visiting California feels like a dream. Living there often feels like financing one you can't afford to wake up from. Number 1. Hawaii. Hawaii, the postcard of paradise. Tourists arrive, sip a piña colada, and decide they've found heaven on earth. And they're right, for a week. For locals, however, paradise comes with a price tag big enough to sink a surfboard. The median home price in Hawaii has soared past $860,000, with Honolulu averaging around $1 million. Rent is just as brutal. The average one-bedroom apartment runs about $2,400 to $2,800 a month. Meanwhile, the median household income hovers near $90,000. But even that doesn't stretch far in a place where almost everything, from bread to gas, is imported. Groceries cost about 60% more than the US average. A gallon of milk? $7. A dozen eggs? $8. Gas? Usually above $5 a gallon. It's the kind of place where even locals joke, we live where others vacation, but can't afford to vacation ourselves. Hawaii's isolation also means limited job opportunities. Tourism dominates, but wages lag behind living costs. Many families work multiple jobs just to afford rent. Housing shortages are so severe that locals are being priced out by investors, turning homes into vacation rentals. Add in high utility costs, scarce healthcare options on outer islands, and long supply delays for basic goods, and living in paradise starts to feel more like surviving it. Still, Hawaii remains stunning. The beaches, volcanoes, and sunsets are otherworldly. But those who live here long enough know the truth. Beauty doesn't pay the bills. For tourists, Hawaii is heaven. For many locals, it's paradise with a price tag. Breathtaking, yes, but also bank-breaking.